Alright, here we go. Project Starter. Right now, working on a Kohler Starter on a Grasshopper 723K with a 23 horse Kohler motor. I basically had to remove two bolts to remove it from the housing. From the block. And then the wires connected to the solenoid. On this particular scenario, you can see that it's real bad about storing stuff behind the starter, and this will increase crankcase temperatures, shortening the life of oil. So these things need to be addressed, especially being in the conditions that they are in. When you remove the starter, go ahead and check that flywheel, the integrity of the teeth, if any teeth are missing. In this case, I'm all good. Now that I've given you the hosts, this is the subject that we're focusing, and this piece right here seems to be a little more difficult to locate and replace, but this is in here. It spins, and it's, in my case, it's slower than I expect, but I can't find a replacement, and it looks like it's a sealed bearing, and it's a one-way clutch, so it grabs real good. So I'm just going to keep soaking it and lubricating it and clean it up, but I will be putting some lithium grease on these grooves right here so that I get pretty good movement across the surface. See, when I removed this, you could see it had little lithium left lubricating the motion of engaging and disengaging. So that had probably was a factor in my slow starter engage and sometimes improper engagement. So that's why I did this videos. It's not necessarily for you have to replace these starters as much as you have to maintenance them. These surfaces need to be lubricated, and these parts right here do wear out, and you can replace these little brushes, but in my case, this is a 2005. These brushes still have a lot of life in them, and that's not my issue. It's the lack of lubrication on surfaces, because of the dust is basically got in and robbed its I forget what it's called, but when it sticks to surfaces, it's weakening that property, and basically you're having a failure of lubrication, and that resistance on that little bitty battery system that's on that little box is going to make this not operate. And you can go buy a new one. I'm not thinking it's outrageously priced, but if everything works, the plunger still works, the casing's not cracked, and the seal's still good, the plastic's not broken, 90% of this is still functioning. So and in my case, it's still functioning. It's just having a intermittent failure. So that's probably where you should address it with maintenance, and then you could prolong the life of it. But this thing was so simple to take apart. These two bolts, this lock ring system that goes in this groove right here, and that was pretty much it. I'm going to be doing this as on every starter I have, just so I don't have to replace these starters. It's pretty rigid design. Look at that. I was looking at how cool that looked. Solid, heavy. Same with this piece. It's pretty solid. It seems to be two pieces, but just really rigid material. So, and I would think that this would be softer than the flywheel, but I think it's equally strong. So I'm just gonna clean this up. And these heads right here, they're not that complicated. Just put a 4 mil on them and be gentle, and they'll come out. Look at the seal. I could reuse the seal. It's still pretty good. Same with the rubber piece that's in here. I pulled that out and looked. It's still good. It's just the dirt, the amount of dirt you get in these things. And you can see right here, this is dirt that was in it. And I used air hose, and some of it's just blown out everywhere, and some of it's on rags. But if you want to keep one of these things running, it's like an $8,000 investment. You know, it's only taken me 30 minutes to do this, and I don't have to buy a new starter. Well, we'll see. I'll give an update. Well, thank you for watching. I hope this helps you on your maintenance.